You cannot be serious!
Okay, we're here again. Wayne Carey, the Duck, sitting opposite. Now we had great response, Duck, to we're on. Let me read out what we're on. We're on You Cannot Be Serious podcast, which is on YouTube, which is correct. You and I chatting. People were enamoured with that. They love to see you chatting about having your plums waxed. They couldn't believe that took 25 minutes to discuss that.
Funnily enough, we'll get back to that. So yes, so you cannot be serious podcast.
Yes, on the YouTube channel, yes, and exactly also right. They were extremely interested in the fact that H has now been common usage. Some company or some organisation in Britain has now said that H is acceptable, and of course that is an absolute disgrace that we are devaluing and debunking the
devaluing
English
our
language.
H.
It's H, and don't let anyone tell you anything different. And if you hear someone advertising a product that a advertising agency pays someone to be a spokesman for their company, and they say HBA will give you a full refund on your medical benefits, don't go to HBA. Go to HBA, but don't go to H. And ring up the advertising agency and say, please, could you have some educated people on your in your organisation, please?
In the marketing department, you're
That's it.
Yep.
So
we had a bit. Well, I did a bit of work over the last.
Before you start, you've got a diary there, which is like A4 foolscap size diary, and there is absolutely fuck all written on it. There's not one. No, there's nothing on it.
Well, there is.
Here, give us the book. Give us it. Give me it here. There it is.
By the way, it's last year's diary.
You wouldn't believe who that is. That's Roland Rocchiccioli rigging.
Roland? Yeah. I know Roland very well.
I won't put him on.
We should get Roland on.
Well, he's on here now.
Yeah, he's a very
Roland,
nice man. Lives at Ballarat.
Before you start, Roland.
Good morning.
Before you start, I'm sitting opposite the Duck, Wayne Carey. We are actually speaking on a podcast as you ring. And if so, anything you say now
is going on the podcast.
So, how are you, Roland?
I'm extremely well, thank you, Sam Newman, and yourself.
Yes, and Wayne says hello to you too. Well, he's got a microphone; he can say it in person.
Yes, g'day, Roland.
Morning to you, Wayne.
Yeah, haven't seen Roland. I saw Roland over the last couple of years, a couple of times.
We have. We had dinner together.
Yes.
What's that?
We had dinner together. That'll set tongues wagging.
I was going to say, I never read about that. I've read about everything else about Wayne, but not you having dinner with him.
See, there are some things you don't know, Sam.
Well, I certainly didn't know that, Roland. You would have loved our chat last week. Wayne told us in chapter and verse how he'd got into waxing his nether regions, the plums and his bottom. He said,
I recall all of that. Yes, it was at that salon for men, wasn't it, Wayne?
Look, Roland, you're good friends with Johnny Mack and Kate, who used to have Man What a Fuss.
That's right. We did something together there.
We did. We did a promo. I think you did something for the footy show, actually.
Yes, that's right. But that's when you had your bibs and bobs waxed, wasn't it?
Jesus, you know more about this than me, Roland.
Sam, it was on the footy show.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
You didn't wax them for him, did you, Roland?
People don't want to keep hearing.
Well, it's manners to wait until you're asked, Sam. And I wasn't.
Well, now, Roland, I don't know what you rang for, but I'm happy to have this discussion if none of it's that private. If not, I'll ring you back.
No, it's very nice to talk to you. And you've been away on your boat and cruising around and doing all sorts of wonderful things. Well done. And if you could, I'm sorry to have interrupted your podcast.
On the contrary, Roland, you're a welcome addition to the podcast. I wouldn't have taken the call had I thought you're not going to be of some value to us.
And Happy New Year to you and to everyone who's listening.
Good on you.
Good on you.
I actually have 2 New Year's resolutions before I go. I'm going to be more intolerant. I've decided more intolerant.
That's right.
And less perfect. I'm going to be more intolerant of wokeism and all of those, and I'm going to be less perfect about being kind to those people who want to impose their ideologies on us. Those who believe that their yes carries more weight than my no.
Beautifully said, Roland. I think the world is slowly swinging back. DEI is slowly being phased out.
Good. I'm pleased to hear it.
All right, my friend. Well, I'll come back to you when I've done this.
Goodbye.
See you, Roland.
Bye.
No. Yeah, well, there we are. That's live to air. And now, Wayne, you were saying
I went to Bundalong. Do you know where Bundalong is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Just not far from Yarrawonga.
I know where it is.
Very good friend there, Brett, that owns the Bundalong Tavern.
Yep.
And so a lot of people, you get a lot of families there. I've been going up there for the last 4 or 5 years, so you get to know a lot of the families and the kids. So just sitting around the pool when we're at the tavern, down by the river, just sort of just thought I'd throw it out there. And there's a few lads there. There's a few, good boys.
Yeah, and rednecks?
Yeah.
No, not
rednecks.
Oh. No, country lads.
Yeah, all country boys, obviously. You're in the country, so there's going to be country boys there, but a lot of city boys that go to the country. And I just thought, and most of them married now with kids and all that, but I just thought I'd pass the hat around and ask about the waxing situation.
Oh, yeah.
95%. 95% of the guys that were there waxed. So there you go. And
did they say why?
Did they say why?
Yeah, because their partner...
They feel better. Their partner thinks it feels better, I guess.
Man or woman.
Man or woman. So it was resounding yes. It was.
I see. So you just asked the question.
I just thought I'd
a couple of beers and a barbecue. Said, by the way, do you have the plums waxed?
Well,
they said, pardon?
You can generally tell the guys that are well groomed by their. Well, if they got hair all over their back, they're probably not going to wax their balls. So. So generally, if they're waxed to the minute on the upper body, then they've probably gone down lower afterwards. So now let's not spend too long on this.
No,
I just wanted to follow up that I'd done a little bit of research and it came back
the
a
sort of research
resounding yes.
that brings this podcast to the fore. This is why we're so popular. Research like that. Did you run this by Tess, your guidance counsellor?
No, well she's been on holiday, so I will run. Maybe that's why we've gone a little bit off. I've got a bit off script. I need Tess for some advice.
So
she's on holidays at the moment.
People are also interested in, they look at you through a different lens. They are a family. They're wondering about your kids. Any of your kids befallen, had injuries or been bitten again? Or
another bite.
Another disaster.
Another bite.
Shit.
It's just come through literally this morning, and Charlotte's got a massive welt under her arm. Look at this. You can't make that up. Like that is like a size of a football. And that's just so she's had some sort of little bite. So she obviously has an allergy.
Just make sure your phone number doesn't come up on there, or you'll be inundated by
insects.
Australia.
So she's last week was the bee bite, which got infected, and now she's got that. So I don't know. What are we doing wrong here? So
what?
I said, what are we doing wrong here? Obviously, you've got to put her out in some armour. Before she goes out to play.
Sprays and gels and
I know. But she's obviously Ella, who's now
solvents.
nearly 19. She had some sort of reaction. They get over it as they get older. You build an immune system
Who's
to
19?
Insects. Ella.
She's
my eldest daughter.
She the lass that went to the the Estetford down there.
I also asked
function down there.
I also asked a few people about that
Pills?
conversation about whether they agreed with having your drugs tested before you go into
by the government.
Yes. And funnily enough, that was probably about 50-50. You had people saying, well, they're going to do it anyway.
Yep.
They're going to do it anyway, so
Yes.
you're better off making it safe. And my argument, like your argument, is, well, if there's someone that is 50-50 about whether to try this or not, so they're sitting on the fence and they're easily led, they're probably going to try it.
Yep.
If you have this system in place. So it doesn't exactly. So that was about 50-50 with the people that I asked.
I thought about it too since we left here. I actually thought about it, and I'm very happy to have my opinion changed or my mind changed. And I did discuss it with Suzanne here. I said, if you had a daughter and she went along to a function, or a bloke, no, a son, you had a family member went along to a function and took a tablet and ended up, let's just go to the nth degree, ended up dying because of some tablet. Would you have rather it be tested by the government, or is the onus on someone to not have a government test for illegal substances and give it the okay for you to keep taking them? So it is a vexed problem.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's a look.
And how would you know? How would you know that? So some people might test the tablets, and some people would just be chatting around wherever they were and say, "By the way, I've got some stuff here. Would you like one?" And said, "Oh yeah, give us one." You wouldn't be bothered walking over 200 metres to the caravan and lining up to have all the drugs tested. You just take it.
Well, I think the other part of it, from what I understand, and the young ones that I spoke to, and that is that once you get it tested and have it handed back to you, then you in no way can get into any trouble for obviously having those drugs on you. So I guess the right thing to do, and I guess the safest thing to do, and if you didn't want to get caught of actually having illegal drugs on you, which obviously they are unless you're in at that particular venue, and that is to get it tested. You would obviously do that.
Yes, and then
because you're not getting into any trouble.
Is the onus on the government then, if you take the
Yes.
tablet
No,
and
no,
kill
no.
yourself, is it the onus on the government to say, well, we said it was okay to take those illegal drugs, so...
And that was exactly, and I took your point on that, and I agree. So that's where, look, it's a tough one. And like I said, it was literally 50-50.
Well, our friend over in North Korea has gone to the next level, Kim Jong-un. Did you know
I love how you go. You just go straight overseas.
This is a related sort of thing.
Yes.
If you can have from the sublime to the ridiculous. Kim Jong-un, who is the president or boss of North Korea, Donald Trump called him Little Rocket Man. He has banned hot dogs. You can go to jail if you
eat a hot dog.
Because it's considered a Western delicacy. And wait for this, Joe.
Not sure it's a delicacy.
Well, he thinks it is. And wait for this. I could have spent most of my life incarcerated. He said, if you get divorced now, you go to jail. You get jailed. If you divorce, you do jail time. I could have not seen the light of day for the last 40 years. That's on the wise.
Well,
he's banned hot dogs, and you go to jail if you get divorced.
Oh,
now there's a country you'd like to live in.
I was going to say, I'm not sure it's our type of country. Although I will say that you can't consider a hot dog a delicacy.
No, but he says that there's hot dog vendors in North Korea, and they've been closed down, and they have to now provide some other food, not like sausages in a roll.
Well, probably, if you're in China, maybe sweet and sour pork or something along those lines.
Not if you're in Israel. You wouldn't be having sweet and sour pork because they don't eat pigs.
I know
swine.
That.
And now, Wayne, and you'll think that this is another, you'll think, oh, here we go again, but this is a related subject. The ABC.
Yes.
Now, I didn't...
I'm across this. I know where you're going.
First of all, I didn't watch the New Year's celebrations.
No surprise you're going here, by the way, because as soon as I saw it, I thought, this is going to be discussed.
Well, I don't know what you think I'm going to discuss, seeing as you've got a blank sheet there and I can't spy on your notes. But the ABC, which I didn't watch, the New Year's people said it was absolutely cringeworthy that they look at this country through a racial lens. The nonsense they carried on with Indigenous and Torres Strait Islanders, it went on and on. So I didn't watch, but they said it was impossible to watch. And then I noticed that they either paid in kind or they paid in cash the great Robbie Williams to be on their New Year's Eve celebration, a recidivist drug taker who has bragged, and good on him, he's fantastic. This is not a slight on him. Yep. This is the hypocrisy of the ABC. If an AFL or NFL footballer, NRL footballer takes drugs or is caught with having a sniff somewhere or whatever, they come down on him like a ton of bricks, and it's a disgrace, and role models and the sponsors are up in arms. But Robbie Williams, feted by the ABC and everyone else because he's got a movie out now about how he takes drugs.
Yeah, I've always
doesn't anymore.
I've always said that, unfortunately, or fortunately for some, and that is that for whatever reason, sports people are held to a higher account in society than rock stars, or for that matter, or obviously the general society. They're held to a higher account, and they are, because in some places they're considered role models, or even though when you start playing footy, you're not a role model, you're just a guy that can kick a ball better than someone else.
Spot on.
You don't sign up to be a role model, you just sign up to play footy. But in saying that, for whatever reason, rock stars can do whatever they want, and it's celebrated, and it is not punished, obviously. And you would argue that they're on a world stage and a bigger stage, and this isn't any slight on Robbie Williams, by the way. I do know a few people involved in the new Robbie Williams movie. I'm led to believe the people that have seen it here or went to the premiere here, a lot of people enjoyed it. It hasn't gone down all that well in America, I'm led to believe. The fact that he plays he's a monkey all the way through the movie, I find a little unusual.
Go over well with the African Americans in the States.
I find a little unusual that, I'm not sure why he was a monkey the whole way through the movie. But I'll have to watch it and make my own movie. We should do maybe I'll watch it, give you a review of the movie.
So the hypocrisy of it is that probably most of the people who run the ABC take recreational drugs. So do lawyers, so do accountants, so do people who run the AFL, so do every other dentists, lawyers.
Anyone with a brain in their head knows that anyway. So it's always the people that judge, and as I said, one New Year's resolution to people that they should have had is judge less, because generally the people that sit on their ivory tower, sit in their ivory tower and judge and sit back on their couch and look at a sports star that does that, and he's done that. The people that say, I can't believe he did that or he did this, generally they're the people that are doing way worse.
And we just heard the great Roland Rocchiccioli come on the line and said his now New Year's resolution is to be more cynical, I think he said, or more, is not be as conciliatory for people who are into this woke world we live in. The pendulum is swinging. We've had enough of people getting jobs on the colour of their skin, how they speak, where they come from, as opposed to how they talented enough to do the job. And if all those people I mentioned about their skin colour are more talented than anyone else, let's have them all doing the jobs.
I thought you might have a replay. There was a female anchor, I assume she's an anchor for whatever station, and she spoke about the New Year's celebrations. She spoke about the ABC, and it was, and I listened to the whole lot, and she was scathing.
What station? Who was it?
I don't know who it was. She was a lady
on a commercial,
blonde-haired lady. No. It was a news thing, and she was giving her opinion on New Year's celebrations, and she was scathing about the ABC. Scathing.
Yeah, so why so they go out of their way to divide this country have us against one another through a racial lens. They are a disgrace. we are, despite what people think, we are not into that.
Yeah.
We just want to be one.
Well,
one
anyway, I'm not
people.
sure how many viewers would the ABC have had.
But it's
for the.
But it's
So was Robbie Williams? Was he? Was that just for the ABC, or was there other stations that took that?
No, I believe Suzanne
Would have been
Stanley,
other stations.
I
Clearly,
believe that he was bought out. Believe he was
just for the ABC.
I understand that he was contracted or asked to come out and be part of the ABC New Year's Eve celebrations, and it was also to promote his film. I understand that. I didn't. How could he be on other stations?
The film, because
how could he be on other stations if he was on the ABC on New Year's Eve?
There were people that were on up there on a yacht, of which Robbie was something to do with Robbie Williams actually on that night. Obviously, he wasn't on the boat, but there were other sort of Hollywood
wasn't
actors.
He in the studio?
Yeah, I assume.
And then he did a free concert, didn't he? At the Melbourne Federation.
But you like Robbie?
Yeah, no, he was fantastic at the grand
I'd
final a few years ago.
You'd encourage people. I'm going to go and watch the movie. I'm not going to. I don't listen to other people's opinions on something. You watch it yourself and you make your own mind up. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
This is Sue has provided this. The performance sparked controversy on the social media, with many viewers questioning the use of taxpayer money through ABC Australia's government-owned broadcaster. Did my tax dollars pay for the lazy Robbie Williams set? That's a quote. I'm not saying he's a lazy. No. So apparently our tax money went to our ABC. It's your ABC. Don't link me to our ABC, to get a recidivist drug taker to promote his film when they belt anyone who they consider fair game, who are not international identities.
Oh, well,
and the good on Robbie Williams, not a slight against him at all.
More hypocritical views, that's all it is. Hypocrites.
They are hypocrites, Wayne. So then we get down. Oh, gee, where do you start here? So then you get down to the fact that. So, do you know that? Welcome to.
I probably.
In the last 2 years, we have spent $500,000 on Welcome to Country. I don't know where I'm going on with this.
It's all right.
You've done $500,000 and for a hoax, for something that is not real. It has only just become prevalent in the last 40 years. So it's not a traditional welcome at all. But we are now linked into it. The Australian Institute of Sport spent $50,000 in 2 years. The Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet spent $42,000 on Aboriginal Welcome to Country and $61,000 on Torres Strait Islanders Welcome to Country. This is in 2 years. I still believe that this is not right, but it says here it is. It says here it is. It says here that the... it says here, Wayne, if I can just get the fucking thing come up. It says here, overview of Victoria's First Peoples specific expenditure. It says that we have here in Victoria gone from $422 million a year to $747 million in Victoria. This is what it says here. I can't believe that's Victoria. You'd think that's you'd think it's Australia, but how much more money can we tip into the Australian taxpayer into looking at this country through a racial lens?
How much more?
How much more? That's almost $1 billion. It's getting up to $1 billion.
I know, and I know you're very passionate about it. I just don't. I've said this to you before. I don't delve into those figures or worry about things that one, I have no control over,
Well-
and two, my view on it is, given that it's water off a duck's back, pardon the pun. I
Beautifully
don't
said,
really.
Duck. I like that.
I don't really sort of, I don't lose any sleep over it, Sam.
No, good. I don't.
I
I don't lose any sleep over it. But if I go to a function, I did say once to a bloke who used to sit there, we should boo when it started. That was a provocative statement. But I think we should show our displeasure at being browbeaten at every function, at every football game about welcome to country. It's a fraud, it's a hoax, it's not necessary. And if we could do a slow hand clap, even boo, I don't know, I'd boo. We've had enough of just shout out, say, hold it, please, stop.
And look, I think your message is getting, your message is not falling on deaf ears, because once again, you ask people come up and talk about it a lot to me, because obviously you discuss it every time we're on the podcast. So they bring it up, and I ask them. I often say, well, what do you think? And it's probably, once again, it's probably 60-40. People go, look,
60-40.
No, what I'm saying is, a lot of people say they agree with your views on it, but it doesn't bother them like it does you. They do agree that there's overkill with it, and it shouldn't be.
Well, what about the What about just looking at it fiscally? What about your taxpayer money going to pay $500,000 every 2 years to have some bozo come up in a leopard skin and feathers sticking out his ass to say welcome to a country that we're all in? And I've been here longer than anyone else given welcome to country. It's completely redundant, redundant charade. And I just take exception to my money going to this nonsense.
Yep.
And this has nothing to do with not having respect.
In this new year, 2025, okay, and I guess the amount of attention that you've given it, and other people, and only, like I said, that lady that spoke about the ABC and everything that you just spoke about, given that it's starting to, and it is starting to divide, because given that,
they are dividing it.
No, what I'm saying is it's dividing because, we're talking about it. You have people talking about what the ABC did for New Year's. So it is divisive, and it is doing exactly what you say. So is it? What's the right answer?
Well, the AFL do no due diligence. The bloke who did welcome to country,
you've mentioned that.
He belted his missus with an Aboriginal tool, and they said, "Oh no, come and welcome everyone to your country, even though you've beaten up someone, your missus." The bloke who they eulogised at the grand final between Geelong and the Swans 3-4 years ago, or 2 years ago, he'd been in jail. He was a recidivist drug taker and a felon, and we stood there while they eulogised that person for what? It is just sheer projection.
Yeah.
It is absolute cow-eyed, virtuous bullshit.
Yep.
And why do we cop it?
It goes in one ear and out the other for me. Look, I've said this to you a few times now. It just doesn't register with me.
Do you know if
really
you're in Telstra?
Hey?
Do you know if you're in Telstra, they say, if you are a Torres Strait Islander or Indigenous, press 1. And if you press 1, you go straight through without waiting in the queue. Did you know that?
No, well, just press 1 then.
I'm glad you said that. Why wouldn't everyone do that?
Exactly right.
Do you think that's just a conspiracy? Do you think someone's made that up?
No.
I read that.
You read that, okay.
But a lot of things you say, just because you read it doesn't mean most of it's true.
No. Look, most of what you read is not true.
Here's another question for you.
Yes.
Do you watch the cricket?
I do.
No, you did.
I did, yes.
Right. Could you tell me? Here, this is just technology. This is nonsense. I'm not a great cricket devotee, but I watched it. when a batsman goes forward to play a shot or the bowler comes in, they freeze frame it and they put a whole lot of lines from his shoulder. They have the box drawings. What is that? What? All they've done is drawn a line from his shoulders down to his arm, down to his leg.
You mean the skeleton type one?
Yes, there's no paradigm, there's no pattern to it. If you have an awkward style, the box just goes to... What do they put that up for? And they say, oh, yes, look, you can see his arms bent there and see how it joins to the shoulders in a triangle.
You've worked in footy for long enough and sport and the technology, what it's done for sport, and you look at the line calls in tennis, you look at, obviously snicko and cricket. Now that we've got things in the goalposts, all sorts of stuff. So technology has changed sport forever. And the stick, I know the exact diagram that you're talking about. What does that offer? I would, you can turn that on silent when you're on the podcast. He still doesn't know how to turn his phone off. Some of the technology is a waste of time, but then you've got so many people working on it
hang on.
that you're justifying. Each person has to say something different. You've got the experts like, Ricky Ponting. And others. All in there, and you listen to what they say because they know what they're talking about, and you take it all in, and then you've got other people that are talking about another element.
I understand that.
Yeah,
I couldn't work out what were they trying to show with the boxed skeleton outline of someone's torso as they either went forward to play a
whether
shot.
They're technically correct, I would say.
But so. Everyone bowls differently. Jeff Thompson. If Jeff Thompson came in, they would have a round-armed. Is there a perfect way to?
Bumrah's bowling action is different to anyone I've ever seen.
So what is there a perfect
best bowler
box,
in the world?
Is there a perfect box outline that you should follow?
I guess
of course there's not.
If you're talking about a textbook fast bowler, textbook.
Dennis Lilly.
Dennis, you just took the words out of my mouth, the name out of my mouth, right? So Dennis Lilly, textbook, right? Glenn McGrath, textbook, right? So we're talking about that. It's like kicking of a football. I would, if you guide it down with your right hand and you're over the footy, you kick through the footy, textbook. Then you've got other people, not so, and they kick around corners or so I guess what they're trying to show is that if you were taught the correct way and you want to be textbook, doesn't mean it's the only way. But if I was teaching a child...
They're trying to instruct you on while the test cricket's on.
If I was teaching a child how to kick a football, then I would say that I would consider myself a textbook drop punt of the footy, right? I would... That's what I would consider myself in my technique and how I kick the footy. I think is how you probably should teach most kids. Now, is it the only way you can kick the footy? No, but if I was to teach a kid from the start, of which I am now a 5-year-old, my young son Carter, and when he's kicking the ball, and if he holds it at the top of the ball, I say, don't hold it at the top of the ball because you have no control of it. You've got little hands. You hold the ball. Your right hand, if your right foot, should be slightly lower to control the ball onto your boot better. So trying to explain. So that's how I'm teaching him. All right.
Yes.
So I'm just giving you an example. So in the cricket,
very good examples, Wayne. I'm just saying, is it the purview of the broadcaster while the test's on to have a boxed outline of someone in the hope that young people watching will say this is the way? We're not interested in what the box frame of people playing test cricket is.
It had no.
So if they had a box frame of you playing football and they had you waddling down to the half-forward line because you got the name Duck because you waddle, and they said, look, this is how Wayne Carey walks. Look, we've got a box there. You can see his hips are not moving in unison with his legs and his arms are down by his side.
I also have a longer torso and
that's right.
And
longer
comparison
back.
to my legs.
Yes,
not.
That's right.
Which is
This is technology for technology's sake.
Yeah. Justifying.
You've seen all the dot balls on the pitch. They say these ones they scored 3 off, these ones they hit boundaries off, these ones, and you look at it, there's just a whole blob of shit on the pitch. And who would sit and who would watch it and say, oh, in the
I did like
3 seconds it comes up, you say, could you actually decipher what they're doing?
I do like the when they show a bowler, say a Bumrah or Lion Gary. They showed
Gary?
They showed. Well, that's his nickname.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Lion's
Good on.
nickname is
I know.
Gary.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I didn't. Good on him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they showed an over or two of Gary bowling, and they called it the shoebox or whatever they called it, and every ball went in that small area.
Yeah.
And Bumrah's the same, and they just show the accuracy of a bowler and what he's trying to achieve and the way he's trying to deceive the batsman. Find that sort of when they do the big blob, the big blob of a squillion balls and the length of the balls and all of that, then you. But I found when they just showed how accurate a bowler can be.
Yeah.
I found that
right.
interesting.
Did you?
Yeah. Wasn't I didn't sit there and I wasn't glued to it going, oh wow. I was just saying, oh yeah, that's interesting. That shows you just how accurate this bowler is. It's something I can now sort of go to bed at night and.
Well, what do you make of this? Incidentally, we've been doing this for 40 minutes. Not one thing have you written on that sheet there yet. Not one. You've got your pen in your hand. You've not. You can hold the book up again.
Just in case.
Just hold the book up again. Look, fuck all. Look, hold it up.
That's not even the right year, by the way.
Nothing.
That's
You've
still
written
last
nothing.
year's book.
You've written nothing. So
You know what? Can I tell you a quick funny story? I can say this now that I don't work in the media anymore. And it's you'd roll up to Friday night footy and you'd roll up and when you were the new kid on the block, I'd roll up and I'd have the teams written out just for the sake of it. I'd have the team written with their opponent, height, weight. Yeah. If they were a new kid, this is at the start of the year, whether they're a left footer, where they were recruited from, and this would all be written there. I'd have 2 pages written, and the great Bruce McAvaney would be sitting over there, and BT, because BT's he'd got notes everywhere.
Has he?
Dennis just roll up and do it. Bruce has got obviously notes, and I'd have all of these notes there, and just sort of have them out just so they could see that I'd done something, as in preparation for the game. But then by round 6 or 7, I'd bring my book in. They'd give you the team sheet. I'd sit that there. I'd have nothing, but no one could see it because by round 7, you don't need you know all the players that are playing.
Yep.
If there was a new player, you sort of looked up what their strengths and weaknesses were, like if they were a left footer or whatever, and what they did in their comp before they came into AFL standard. You might do a little bit of that, but I was quite embarrassing because you'd roll up and when Daisy Pearce first started, she'd had notes everywhere, and you'd roll out and I got no notes. Hide over in the corner.
You can't have a lot of notes for things that haven't happened, can you? You've got to wait for something to happen, and then you refer to your notes. Say, shit, I didn't write that down. What happens if someone kicks a goal with the left foot on the angle against the wind? I haven't got a note for that. I'll have to make that up. I'll just say it as I see it.
Yes.
I can go one further than that. I used to do 3 games on Triple M, Friday, Saturday and Sunday sometimes. I'd get to the game and I didn't even know who was playing, let alone not have any notes. I'd say, who are we watching today? They say it's the Swans and the Hawks today. I said, good.
Right. A bit like this show. You roll up. I mean, you've got a lot.
Well, so you say I've got a lot of notes. Thank
they're just topics.
Christ, I've got some notes, or else we would have dead airtime here.
I'm going to start. I'm going to start doing a heap of notes.
No, you don't. Wait and let me do the work. You just come in and speak off the top of your head. I've had that many people say, you're very good at this because you're articulate, believe it or not. For an uneducated man who says H, you're articulate. You've got a good opinion. You're not intimidated, not by me, but you're not intimidated not to have an opinion and think is against mine or politically incorrect. So they think you're fantastic. I wanted to ask you this, Wade. Here we are. You give us an opinion on this. There was a sports bar it was a women has started a sports bar. Was called the Ladies League. It lasted 4 months.
Whereabouts?
It lasted in Sydney. It was called. They're shutting after 4 months. It was a ladies-only sports bar. You know, like Shane Warne's number 23 at the casino.
Warney just put his name to that. It wasn't really his.
No, it wasn't. But people used to go in because he used to have a stipend. It was just a small monetary consideration to go
23 a couple of times
for him to go in there every now and again. So the people say, "Yeah, I saw Shane Warne at his bar."
Yeah. Well, they used to have the other sports bar there, Sam, when they first opened, and they had a lot of a lot of us guys. It was more of a. It wasn't that top end. So Warney's 23 was more
Ricky Nixon's Club 10.
Yeah, Club 10. Yeah, we used to go in there and get looked after, which was good. So where was this bar? Where was it? And women only. Yeah, see,
it was a women only sports bar. It was and it lasted 4 months. And a bloke
problem with having with all due respect, problem with having an only women's bar is they don't drink as much as men. So
no, but the idea
probably
was,
but if you're going to make money, Sam, you've got to sell drinks.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have a bar, you want drinkers. You don't want women sitting around having a couple of pina coladas and and then going home. You want someone sitting around having.
You found it.
You want someone, don't you, sitting around having 30 pots and then you have 5 vodkas after that, 4 tequilas, and you're only warming up. That's how you make money.
Sue has found the article here.
Do you agree with what I just...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you don't think women drink as much or take as many drugs as men?
They certainly don't drink as much.
Women... We couldn't hold on any longer. Australia's first and only women's bar. 22 hours ago. Australia's first and only women's sports bar in Sydney quietly closed its doors after just 4 months of operations. They just.
Where was it based in Sydney?
Oh, Jesus.
That's the other key. You've got to have it in the right spot.
Well, would you think they would? They would think they would have done their research.
Well, if
Australia's first ever closed its doors, saying it just struggled in this economic climate. The Ladies League in Sydney's bustling suburb of Darlinghurst posted a message on social media with a heavy heart. We closed the doors because there was no one coming because no one is interested in going and see women chatting about sport. Well, I made that. I said that.
I know.
They didn't say that.
No, well, look. I would say that the reason why it hasn't worked is just purely because of women don't sit around and women don't sit in a bar and
gossip
and drink like they might do that, but
they do.
They don't sit in a bar and like men do, and men will sit there and watch the races, or they'll go there and watch a whole game of footy, or they'll go and watch a test game. If it's a sports bar and the NFL will be on, they'll go and watch that. I would argue, and men will sit there all day from go to woe.
Rose
and drink.
Rose Valenti, she launched the bar, saying that she wanted to open a bar designed for women, for them to come together and enjoy watching women's sport. I thought it would be sick, she said, meaning exciting, I suppose. It's sick, all right, it's shut down. Said in an interview, I just thought it would really cool thing to do. I thought it was needed as well. But she's very grateful for the people who came for the 4 months, and now with a heavy heart, we're closing the doors. Yeah, a whole lot of broads sitting around talking about sport. Could you believe it?
No,
how would that be exciting?
I'm not. That's not the thing that when I think about that business idea. It's that's not why it failed. It's not failed because it failed purely because I don't think women sit around and sit there and watch a sporting event or sit there all day and drink. No. Men do. Now is that and they're the. I
wonder if they had a welcomed a country as you came in.
That's basics, hey?
Wonder if they had a welcomed a country as you came in the women's sports bar. That'd be, they'd be doing everything politically correct, women only. I wonder if men could go to it. There's a point. I wonder if they excluded men from going in. It's a women's-only sports bar, like women's-only gyms.
Well, I don't know. If you're identified, getting back to your point, if you're identified as a woman but you were a man, I wonder if they were allowed in.
That's right. If you came to the door like you are now, looking like that, and you said, "I'm Wayne Carey, I'm transitioning, can I come in?"
I'm Wayena.
Yeah, Wayena.
Wayena.
Wayena Carey.
Wayena Carey. No, but that's the issue with...
Or your ex-coach.
That's the issue with... it wasn't my ex-coach,
Wasn't he?
ex-teammate.
Oh, ex-teammate.
Danny L.
Danny, no, not...
Formerly known as Dean.
Dean, that's right.
Yes.
Dean, what's his name?
Danny L.
No, Dean... Laidley,
yes.
Dean Laidley, now changed.
Formerly known as Dean.
I know
yes.
that's for me. I know I'm not dissing him.
I had him on my. I had Danielle on my podcast that I once did. The Truth Hurts, and she was very good.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I mentioned her.
Would she be allowed into the bar? Is that what you're getting at?
Of course she would be.
Yeah. Well, I assume
because
I
she
assume
is
so.
actually. She's not taking the piss out of it. She is. So I mentioned on here that I said with the other bloke who used to sit there, I said, "Did you know Dean Laidley was cited by the police? They called him Dean because he was arrested for doing something, stalking. I don't know what it was. I'm just." And I said, and the citation read, "We've cited Dean Laidley," and I mentioned his name. And he contacted me, and he said, "My name is Danielle." And I said, "Danielle." I texted him. I said, "Mate, I was just saying what the brief said on the police report. I wasn't calling you by your former name. That's what the police called you." And
she is no, and I listened to that, and you're allowed. You were just quoting on what you what.
The police brief was that Dean Laidley had been arrested.
Yes, but that's before the world, I guess, found out about the fact that Dean transitioned to Danielle.
No, he had transitioned. That report came out long after he had transitioned,
right?
And there was something else came up about it, whether he'd been pardoned or whatever. I don't know. Or the copper, I think, who leaked it, got into trouble for leaking it.
Well, he should be ringing whoever wrote it, not you.
Well, I just...
She should be, sorry.
Of course,
she should have rang whoever wrote it.
That was my point.
Yes.
I said I was just reading out what that said about you.
Yes. No,
not
she
me.
should have... So, Danielle, have you watched the documentary?
Yep.
Yeah? What did you think of the documentary?
I did watch that. Eddie Maguire's company did that.
Yes, I know. They called me for Danielle's number.
Were you on it?
No, I wasn't on it.
No, I can't remember. They spoke to a couple of people.
Yeah.
No, it was pretty... I watched it. What did I think about it?
It was, you know what?
Confrontingly...
I tell you what. So I've caught up with Danielle. We've had reunions. We've had 96 Premiership reunion. We've had a couple of other events at the footy club, and Danielle had caught up with a few of us privately to discuss, I guess everything that was going on and talk about her journey and I guess why she was like she was at periods and also as a coach she was quite hard nosed and had an opinion about certain things. And anyway, it's a very
confronting.
No, I wouldn't say confronting. It is an eye opener to the point that how you can have someone that is living a certain life but wanting to be something totally different, which is fascinating. And you and I can't understand that, right?
It's like Bruce Jenner.
Yeah, correct.
And I call him Bruce because he's not going to hear me calling him, Caitlin?
Yes.
And she is fantastic. And Danielle, I've asked Danielle twice to come on this thing.
Yep.
I said, "Mate, I'm not belting you at all. You got hold of me and said I called you the wrong name." I said,
No, Danielle now, and we the reunion, which was now a couple of years ago, was fascinating because when I played footy with Danielle, and then was known as Dean, obviously, very standoffish, good guy, tough as nails, fantastic player for us. In saying that, wasn't very social. Very rarely, you would sort of, go out and have a few beers with him after a game or anything like that. And then, obviously, now comfortable in her own skin, Danielle, wanting to be who she has always wanted to be. And at the reunion, she was the first one there. She was the last one to leave.
Yep.
She, you could just see the happiness that she had. And, you don't begrudge that. You don't begrudge that on anyone, and it's great to
and the media love
see. And I know she's actually, I haven't heard from her for a while, and I don't know whether she's back in Perth or she's here, but wherever she is, I might even send her a message after this and just say, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're as happy as you were when I last saw you.
Give her both our love.
Because there would be ups and I assume there are still ups and downs.
And the media exploited her beautifully. Every time she went to the Logies or the Brownlow, the only photos that were taken were Danielle with either you or the Premier or anyone walking in. She was in every photo because they thought, this is... we'll sell some papers, I think, having an ex-footballer now who's transitioned. So they gild the lily beautifully, the hypocrites they are.
Yes, 100%.
So what...
You've
closed your book. Not only have you not written anything down, you've closed it. It's now closed. You've closed off your book. Well, let me give you another thing. Would you think the state government, after stuffing up the Commonwealth Games, the Dan Andrews government's corruption and dishonesty for going to an election saying we're going to have the Commonwealth Games, winning the election and then cancelling the Commonwealth Games, do you think they'd try and salvage some respect from the public by bidding for the 2027 World Cup finals, Rugby Union League World Cup? We've lost that to New South Wales. We're not having any of the games played here, as I understand it. None of the games played here. The lead-up games, the qualifying games, as I understand it. Maybe I've got that wrong. At the MCG, the biggest, best one of these stadiums in the world, we've stuffed that up. We didn't try and get the World Cup because of petty politics about who did this and who was in charge, and
we did.
Could this state stumble?
An absolute mess. The games, clearly, and in terms of union, rugby union. I know some people they call it rugby, and you call the other one league. I'm from Wagga, so I call rugby league rugby, and I call the other one union. But
union.
Some people are different. They call that rugby and they call that league.
I understand that.
Yes, it is unfortunately for union supporters, and I love the game. I've had the chance to meet some of the great, Johnny Eales and all those guys, and Cam Peasy and these guys, because they were the sort of stars as I was playing my footy career, and so I got to meet some of those guys. But that's back when union was. It was a big sport here in Australia, and it is now. I think it's gone. To be honest, I think union now.
The Wallabies.
And I'll get. There'll be people that disagree with this, but there was at a point where I reckon it was second behind AFL, and there are a lot of league people out there will say, "Oh, you idiot! It's never been second." It was flying. I actually went to the 03. I think it was 03. World Cup, where they met England in it was in Sydney, and Johnny Wilkinson kicked the winning goal. We actually beat the All Blacks in the final leading into that. We weren't even meant to make the final, and we did, and it went to extra time and we lost. But it was unbelievable. That's when union was it was huge. It was big in the 90s. It was big then, and ever since then it has just fallen off the cliff. And I think basketball's gone ahead of it. Clearly, league is. AFL is, for anyone that doesn't think AFL's the biggest winter sport, is absolutely kidding themselves.
Yep.
But Union, for whatever reason, has dropped below them. In actual fact, it's probably on a par. And soccer is the other sport that there was a time when you had greats like Kevin Muscat.
Or football, as they call it.
Or football, yeah. Well, we call it soccer. We don't call it football.
Oh, that's the only sport in the world that should be called football.
Yeah,
the
it's correct.
gridiron,
No, you're
they
right.
never kick it.
No,
we hardly kick it.
No, but we call it soccer here.
Yes.
That was at one stage flying. I don't think that, for whatever reason, that's no longer where it was. In actual fact, Triple M, soccer got to the point here in Melbourne where Triple M, we were crossing from an AFL game to get soccer scores. Now, when's the last time that happened? Basketball has risen again, and unfortunately,
I'd
Union.
say the last time that happened was
soccer has
when the
dropped.
AFL contacted Triple M and said, if you cross over to get the soccer scores again, we'll
really?
cancel your licence.
Oh.
No, I'm
There you go.
making that up, Wayne.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the Wallabies have gone downhill since Alan Jones was the coach.
Oh.
Alan Jones used to coach the Wallabies.
Yes, I know, but a long time ago.
when they were famous, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Maybe he had something there, an intimate relationship with the lads, and had them play for him, not in spite of him.
Yeah.
What do you that? How would Alan Jones?
Yeah.
Just a broadcast. He must have had something, mustn't he?
He was,
Just
he-
shows
he
you
was a
that you
great-
don't have
he
to be
was-
a footballer to coach football.
He was very good at what he did.
What? Yeah. Apparently, some of the people have said that. Now, Wayne, I was going to say, here's an interesting item. Now, Ivan, who's not here today,
Yes.
I'll speak to Ivan later. He sent me this. In 1939, a Mercedes driver used to drive for Mercedes.
Yeah.
He's died, and they put a thing in the paper. His name is Dick Seaman. Would you call your son Dick Seaman if Seaman was your second name, your surname? Would you call your son Richard?
No, probably not.
Dick Seaman.
Hang on, so it was Richard Seaman.
Well, Dick.
No, but
Is your brother called Richard?
no, his actual name's Kevin.
No, who's Dick?
But his name is actually Kevin. His nickname is Dick. He's not a Richard.
How do you get Dick out of Kevin?
Well, that's a very good question.
Oh, well,
And it's
anyhow.
not for the reason you think.
Well-
He's just been known as Dick as a young man. But you're right, normally Richard. But his name's Richard.
Yeah.
How do they get Dick from Richard anyway? I've always found that interesting. Why?
Maybe ask Alan Jones.
No, but why does Richard?
I don't know.
Just because your name's Richard, why do you get the nickname Dick?
Yeah, there's a few of those, isn't there?
Yeah, but why?
No, I understand.
I don't get it.
Yeah. There's a lot of things people
Yeah,
don't get. Yeah, so how often do people say things that people laugh at but don't get? Do you get this, for example? Do you know what a bonsai tree is?
Yes,
Right.
because I've watched Karate Kid.
Right.
Everyone's
All
watched
right,
Karate
a
Kid.
bonsai.
That's how you know what a
All
bonsai
right.
is.
So a lot of people don't get this, but people laugh at it. You might be the same. He said, I know a bloke who had a bonsai farm. He was so a bonsai shop. He sold bonsai trees. He was so successful he had to move into smaller premises. Do you think that's funny?
Had to what? Move into
Smaller. He was that successful.
Yeah.
He had to move into
Into
smaller
smaller-
because of bonsai
I know
tree.
that doesn't. Yeah.
Because a bonsai
know,
tree
they're
is small.
they're
and
small,
It's just a play
and
on
they
words.
just- yes.
And if you think about it,
Well,
he was so successful.
they're more like, yeah, you would think you'd have to get a bigger place.
No, but that's the
I know,
double
I know.
entendre.
I get it.
I've said that to people and they've laughed and they said, "Yeah, haha."
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
I said, "Well, why'd you laugh?"
No,
I'll give you another one.
yeah.
Yeah, this bloke swallowed. Do you think this is funny? Bloke swallowed a glass eye and he swallowed his glass eye by mistake and he went along to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Well, take your pants off." He said, "Give us a look." And he parted the cheeks of his ass and he looked up. The doctor looked up with a miner's lamp and he said, "No, I can't see it." And that bloke said, "That's funny, I can see you." do you think that's funny?
Yeah, I think that's quite funny.
Eh?
Yes.
Or Or, you know, llamas. You know, llamas.
Yes, I know what a llama is.
It spits. You know,
Yes,
when they actually spit at you.
Yeah, I know.
And there was a sign on the cage of the
People get
zoo.
llamas and alpacas mixed up.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a llama and an alpaca?
Well, I think alpaca's very fine wool, isn't it?
Yes. Okay.
As opposed,
But they look similar.
we've got Sue Stanley. If I couldn't do this, if she wasn't sitting there,
I've always felt Nick Rewalt had a bit of
llama.
a bit of llama about him. He got the way he did his hair.
So there's a sign on the zoo cage. It says, "Beware the llama spits," and the bloke was.
What?
He says, "Beware the llama spits," and the bloke reading it was actually he was where the llama spits. See,
You'd sit here and go through.
well, here I'll give you a simple one.
Okay.
A bloke walks into is in France. He walks into just a takeaway shop, and he said to the bloke behind the counter, he said, "Have you got frog's legs?" And the guy said, "I have." He said, "Well, hop over the bar and get us a cheese sandwich, will you?" Do you think that's funny?
So these the
No, they're just
these are the hop over the
all right. Well, I think I've nearly run out of things to ask you.
No, I've got a couple.
What?
No. I think mine are politically incorrect now. A couple of dad's jokes, but I think you're not allowed to tell. I think you're not allowed to tell them anymore.
This was in the paper.
They're not bad. They're not bad, but they're.
I'm going to
anyway,
get one. I'll just give you this final thing. This is how we have our money wasted on surveys. Who would do a survey on this? They did a survey and they said 64% of the community will eat out over the New Year holiday period.
64%.
Yep. Why would you do this? And they said, and the table bookings have gone from last year to this year, they've gone from 8 to 6. So people are not booking 8 seats at restaurants now. 64% that eat out, they've gone from 8 to 6. Who would do a study like that?
Yeah,
what is the relevance of that?
No.
That is just a waste
That's
of
a
your...
waste
This
of
is
time,
like
waste of
Welcome to
time.
Country. It's a waste of your money.
I will just before we do go. I wanted a little bugbear of mine. Now, since COVID, remember, when you went out to a restaurant, they had the QR code so you order a drink
Suzanne.
thank you, QR code to order a drink or the food that you wanted to order. And I'm a person that likes the menu in front of me to see the whole menu. Yep. I don't want to be going through this phone, one, because I'm a bit like you. I can see you're not exactly tech savvy. So you want the menu there so you can see everything there and you can make an informed decision on what you want to eat, right? And you walk up, and if you have to walk up to order it, you walk up to order it. But there are still restaurants out there, and there are a couple in the city down along the river that I've now, and I say this, if you are still using a QR code because you don't want to pay some staff to come up and take someone's order, then I don't go there. I've made a decision. I'm not going to eat there. You should be handed a menu. We are no longer in COVID.
Correct.
And the rhubarb that we had to
Lockdown.
go through with that. And so if you're not prepared to order some and get some staff and have personable conversations, and if something's not quite right, or I don't know, they didn't bring out the tomato sauce when you ask for tomato sauce, and you can't say to a waitress or a waiter, you can't say, oh, sorry, you forgot the sauce, and you have to go onto the QR code. It is just, I've decided I'm not going to eat at those restaurants or
please.
pubs anymore.
That's Tim Harrington ringing from the AFL
Tim
Players
is it?
Association about because I'm having a metal ankle put in next month.
Oh,
and
so
the
they'll cover the gap.
AFL insist that you ask them.
Correct, they cover the gap.
I felt embarrassed to ask the AFL to
for the gap. You'd have private health.
Yeah. No, I felt embarrassed. I just don't want to dote on the AFL.
You only played 300 games.
Eddie Maguire told me.
You only
He
played
said,
300.
he said
so you,
they insist that you do it. They want to.
Yeah.
They've got the funds there to do it, and they want to look after the people who played. If you've played one game of AFL football,
Yeah.
you're entitled.
that's the one. That's the thing where it's doesn't add up for me. So the Players Association, I've called them. I've said before that I think that there's elements what they do is fantastic, and then there's things that they could do a hell of a lot better, because a person that's played one game is not going to have the banged up body that someone has played 300. So it doesn't quite add up. That scenario. The other part of it is prevention is better than obviously cure. So if a player that has got a banged up body or a banged up neck or a banged up back or shoulder or knee or ankle or whatever hip or whatever it may be, then maybe in terms of the help that you could give them, maybe let them go in and maybe let them see the physio a little bit more than what you would someone that's played one game, and prevent them from going in for an operation. Wouldn't that be better than actually going in for an operation? Prevention?
It would be, Wayne. All these things are predicated on a precedent. Could I offer you this just as the devil's advocate?
Mm-hmm.
Neil Sachs, you know who he was? He was made a paraplegic, not a quadriplegic. He was made a paraplegic by a clash he had out at Footscray. Say that was his third game he'd ever played.
Mm-hmm.
Or say it was his first game, and he was cleaned up and he became a paraplegic. He would qualify, surely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't have to play.
No.
So what is the criteria of how many games you play?
I'd tell you. So, for instance, Sam, if you've played the one, now that's the extreme, and that's terribly sad, and of course you should be looked after, right?
But that's
what I'm saying is, though, if you've played one game or two games or 10, and you are ringing the AFL Players Association saying, well, I need to get physio on my back because of chronic back injuries, and you've played 5 games, I would think that's a bit of a stretch.
No,
that's my point. You brought up the extreme, but there are examples. So if you've got stuffed shoulders like I have.
Surgery.
I've had a shoulder replacement now on this one. I've had shoulder reconstructions on this one, as I did that one before. Now, I spoke to Tim, who, by the way, was North Melbourne player.
Yeah, he was.
And also, I didn't know this, but when you speak to Tim, he was apparently the forwards coach for North Melbourne for a few years, and I had no idea.
I reckon Dennis Pagan
I'm not sure
Tim, for Christ's sake, don't speak to the duck. Let him do what he wants to. We give him half the ground. You speak to the other 17 players who play in the other half of the ground.
He did. I'm not joking. We sat down and spoke about a few things a while ago, and he said, I was the forwards coach for a few, and I said, anyway, I had no idea, but he's a good man, Tim. They do get, and they do have to decipher through, people taking the piss.
That's right.
Exploiting out of the system, and whenever there's something in place, there's always going to be someone that tries to exploit it.
Buck the system.
Yep. So we know that, but. No, you'll get very well looked after, and they'll cover that, and so they should. You played 300 games, and you're.
Yeah. You and I reckon, about to drain the Players Association of all their funds. You've had 42 operations. I reckon I've had 142.
Well, yeah, my neck's rooted. I actually had osteo on it this morning. So they're the things. So they're the things that you want to be able to say. Look, let's prevent having an operation on one's neck, because it's a serious operation, and that could add up to a lot of money for the Players Association, and or a little bit of prevention. Pay for some osteo, and let the then hopefully you don't need surgery.
Now, Wayne, I always used to make sure that these episodes went for about 45 minutes. This is the second week in a row we've gone for an hour and 10 minutes.
All right, cut it off.
No, it is. So I could probably do it, despite the fact you got fuck all in your diary. I could go for another hour with some of the things I could chat to you about. So I hope people enjoy watching us on. What are they watching us on? You Cannot Be Serious podcast on YouTube.
That's on YouTube.
Because they like to
Cannot
see
Be
you.
Serious podcast.
They like to see you speaking. They don't
Well,
like
deliberately,
to see me.
deliberately didn't wear a hat this week because you said I was bald last week.
Well, that led to a conversation that I'm not going to. That to about being hirsute. Now, I don't want to top you every subject you speak about, but you said the QR code. You won't go unless you can have a physical menu that you can look at. I don't go into any restaurant or takeaway. The first question I ask when I go in is do you take cash? And if they don't take cash, I go out.
You leave.
I don't want to bring a credit card out for a cup of coffee or a sandwich. I'd like to give them some cash.
Well, you don't have to. You shouldn't have to ask that. It is a legal currency.
No.
If they don't take it, yes, it is.
No, I know it's.
I know. So if you go up to if you go to a counter, and you've already ordered your coffee, right, and then you go up there and they say no, card only. Yeah. You leave your money there and you say that is a legal currency and you can walk out.
Oh yeah. Do you want to be?
You can walk out.
How many phones?
We're at the crickets.
Do you want to be involved in another fracas
You
with
could
someone
walk out.
saying Wayne Carey came in, he walked out without paying?
No, he didn't walk out without paying. He left the $5 there. That is a legal currency.
I know.
They cannot not accept.
But you don't
cash.
want to. You don't want someone to, as you walk out with the coffee and you've left the money, say, "Hey, mate, sorry, you can't. We don't take this."
In saying that, have you been to a supermarket? Because I have.
Yes.
I've been to a supermarket before, and there were people behind me, and it so happened there was a glitch in the computer, program, so your card didn't work, and I so happened because I do carry cash and card. And I had cash on me, so I was able to buy my groceries. The people there were not able to buy their groceries. They accepted cash when the machines didn't work. Oh. So this is my point. It is a legal currency until such time, and that's let's hope that never happens. It is a legal currency, and they have to accept it. Simple.
Well, if they don't have a cash drawer, all they do is have a
cash drawer.
FPOS. What?
Well, just okay. So you're giving it to me for free, then walk out.
Then the
if you're not going to accept the cash,
starts.
Well,
anyhow,
I just think that I'm very, very.
No wonder you get in the paper a lot.
I'm very strong on that. No, I'm just strong. It's a legal currency. They cannot
be on the phone.
You cannot be serious. You've got to accept it.
Wayne Carey just walked out without paying for a coffee.
Well, it hasn't.
And they'll get hold of you and you say, "No, that's not right."
Well, I haven't actually had to do it. I know people that have done it, and there are some people. And you know what? It happened to me at MSAC. Just here, I went in there. They said they didn't take cash. That's all I had because I didn't have my phone or cards because I was in swimming. The kids were swimming or something, so I had a bit of cash. So I went in to get something. I might have got them a couple of pythons, the big snakes. The kids eat the big lolly snakes, one of their best sellers. But anyway, I said, give me a couple of pythons, and I might have got, I don't drink a lot, but I might have got an espresso, and went to give them cash, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we don't take cash." And I said, "Well, that's
Stick
all I've
the
got."
pythons up your ass.
No, and they actually said, "No, take them." And next time I was in there, I paid it. Not that I had to, but I did. But that's an example of you've got the money. You're allowed to pay.
In theory, that sounds fantastic. I reckon there'd be a huge brawl at the door if you walked out without. Anyhow, Wayne.
By who? From the bouncers? They don't have bouncers at a milk bar.
No. People would be shouting behind the counter. You haven't paid for the coffee.
Okay,
I haven't got any
have.
cash.
No, I'd say yes, I have. The money's on the counter.
And you owe me change. Now, Wayne,
we'll always leave the right amount, or not the right amount, but more than the amount.
Just say we're not.
If they didn't have cash,
say we were going for another 3 minutes on this, and I was out of topics. Is there anything that you haven't got written down that you would like to bring up?
Well, I just
nothing.
Bought the QR code up. I bought the milk bar up. I bought the cash.
Well done. So, Duck, it's another fantastic thing. We'll do it again. We'll do it again next week. I never know.
No, I'm not going anywhere. This time next week.
Oh, well, let us.
We might have. Yeah.
Oh, we might have trouble. Let us know, mate. I can come any time of the day, night, day, Sundays.
This time, yep.
Yeah,
all right.
only if
I'll
you're interested.
keep you informed.
Righto.
I'll keep
Now,
you informed.
am I going to press the music now and stop talking, Suzanne? Right?
All right.
Don't speak when I press the
Okay.
music.